All right, everybody, very welcome in this very special edition of our Lean Leadership Cafe. We are connected with people from Colombia. For me, that's on the other side of the world. Um, and first of all, thank you to Alfredo for setting this up. And
Very welcome.
yeah, we were very intrigued by the story you told us, and we are very happy to have your guest here as well.
Thank you.
Camila, you wanted to take the lead in this, isn't it?
Sure.
Go ahead. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Let me just share the screen.
Yeah, there you go. I see your screen. I can add it to the stream.
Now you can see it?
Yes.
That's good.
Perfect. So a little introduction about the colleagues that are with me in this cafe. My name is Camila Zambrano. I'm the Rural Development Coordinator in Fondo Acción, that is an NGO. And I'm gonna do a little introduction in where we work and what we do. So Fondo Acción is an NGO that has 20 years working in environment and childhood to create possible territories. And in that sense, possible territories are the ones that we can low the vulnerability of the people in those sites or in those places. In Fondo Acción, we have a specific line that works for the rural development, and some of the colleagues are with me right now, but we have some more people in the field. So we work around Colombia, and my projects or the projects that I lead are specific in the Pacific area, and here are the colleagues that are with me as well. So Diego and I are in Bogota or near Bogota, because we are quite in different places, one warm and one cold. And Elias and Yvonne are in Chocó, the department, in which the capital is Do, in which is very warm, and it's the place where the rainforest is the largest one in Colombia. And it's also a region that is well known by the rain, the amount of rain during the year. That's the reason of the rainforest as well. And you can locate it in the map. In the red zone is all that biogeographic Chocó that is from Panama to Ecuador, no? It's all that narrow area of the Pacific Sea, next to the Pacific Sea. In terms of the rural development or the rural sustainable development that we work with is in the three senses that we know: environment, economic, and social. In environment, we are looking forward to protect the territory, to reduce, of course, the pressure of the ecosystems or the barrier or the agriculture barrier, and also to increase the agroecological production criteria. That is something that Diego is gonna talk about later. In terms of economic, of course, we want the autonomy of those communities. We don't want them to depend on resources or agrochemical fertilizers. They can produce their own, and they can be autonomy in terms of their economy. We also look for empower the value chain in terms of connecting all the steps to actually start to get into the market, and to get an income, stability in their income in a short term, while they protect in the long run their ecosystems or their territories. In the social aspect, we would like to improve the quality of life of those communities. Of course, this is an ambitious goal, but we are working for it. We want to give opportunities of, and tools to be better off in terms of sustainable development, and to actually be able to contrarrest or to work for the vulnerabilities that they are in the regions. In Colombia, of course, you know that there's been the guerrillas and a war that has been for 50 years, and some of those regions are in those areas that is being a threat all the time. And the last one is something that we are working on, to change the patterns of consumption in the society, not only in the local communities, but in the rest of the cities or in the rest of the society. And we would like to also rescue the traditions of those rural communities, because we know that we can live with those traditions and we can dignify them. No, they need to value their traditions or their knowledge, and Yvonne is going to talk about a bit more in this case. And regarding the goal of this cafe, I would like, of course, thank Alfredo to be able to get some time to us and to teach us some of the lean concepts. And in terms of my conclusion or my resume in terms of the lean lessons, I would like to address these 3 points. One is to have the mindset again, or to get the structure to think and solve problems in an easy way, and in a better way, in which the lean culture is reflected. And in that sense, I would like to remark 3 things that for me is especially important: the respect of the people, the truth of the problem, or what we want to think about it, and the reflection on it, because those 3 issues, I think that is something that we have to value in any sense. The second one is the importance of the continuous flow in value-added process. That is something that we, as a project manager, I need to look forward to it. We have a specific terms and times for the projects, so we have to be very efficient in that sense. And to be efficient has to be the best result for the communities. And the third one is, of course, the tools to improve those performance, in which Elias will talk about a bit more in that sense, and how we are managing the Kanban board and the A3 or Hoshin Kanri to actually think about the problems. So that is my perspective about lean in right now, and I would like to give the word to my colleagues to talk about it.
All right, who's taking over?
Maybe Diego, you can start talking about how you relate, how the lean concepts can relate with the agroecology field, and I can translate. Diego, ¿puedes contarles un poco como el símil que ves entre la agroecología y los conceptos lean?
Listo. Bueno, pues el principal símil que encuentro entre la agroecología y los conceptos lean es la afinidad por el pensamiento holístico. Para la agroecología es clave no estudiar el sistema parte por parte, sino las relaciones que se dan entre todas las partes, tanto internas como externas del sistema. Entonces esto con el pensamiento Lean va muy de la mano. Otra cosa que me parece
Espérate, voy traduciendo, ¿no?
Ah, bueno, perdón, dale.
That would be helpful.
Yeah, we have to do like one sentence and then translate.
Can you remember all what he said?
No, not always. Alfredo can help you too. So what he was saying is that in terms of agroecology and the lean similarities is that to think about the internal and the external factors that join together to be able to have that equilibrium.
To have an holistic view.
An holistic view, yes.
Yes. Bueno, y por otro lado, también que el pensamiento Lean promueve la autoobservación. Y en el caso de la agricultura o el agroecólogo también tiene que partir de autoobservarse como ser sintiente y como persona relacionada con la naturaleza, pero también observar su finca como un ser vivo y de ahí poder determinar pues, los manejos que va a hacer. Entonces, no es como que la agroecología es una receta que aplica para todas las fincas, sino que cada finca debe irla desarrollando a su manera.
That is something really important. He says that agroecology is not a recipe for every farm or every field. Agroecology needs to observe or to see what is going on in each field. And Lean has the same concept in terms of visualize the problems and address them in a specific way.
Y otra aporte, digamos, del pensamiento Lean a la agroecología me ha parecido muy interesante como el uso de las herramientas de gestión visual, que también en el caso de una finca te permite organizarte muy bien, pues al momento de realizar labores o de planear las actividades también de la finca. Y también a nosotros como técnicos de campo que hacemos asistencia, pues también nos permite tener como un mapa del proceso que queremos avanzar con cada comunidad.
Yeah, he says that also those tools that we have learned give us in a visual way what we need to address, and in terms of a technician in a field, it's perfect to see actually how is going the development of the project or the developing in the field. Is the same. It's like a parallel between the tool that you use and the field that you are seeing.
Does he have an example like that?
We are starting in terms of using those tools. But Elias also will talk about the Kanban board and what we are doing with the Kanban board in terms of the projects.
All right, cool.
Diego, ¿tienes la posibilidad de ejemplificar eso de la gerencia visual? ¿O aún no?
Sí, acá en una finca, sí, perfectamente. Precisamente un Kanban board me ha funcionado muy bien acá en la finca porque semana a semana yo puedo tener en la pared, observar qué labores tengo previstas y esto me permite pues no dispersarme en un montón de cositas que van surgiendo, sino como enfocarme. Y una vez que estas actividades se han cumplido, pues puedo empezar a pues pasar a las siguientes.
So Diego says that he has implemented in a farm a Kanban board in his farm, a Kanban board on a wall, and so he is basically flowing his work in an organized way, and he's avoiding to be dispersed in his mind.
That is something that we have learned too, that I mean we of course have to solve the urgent things, but we have to maintain the flow of the project. Huh? We cannot be just focusing the problem or the urgent things. We need to keep going the project in mind, no?
Yeah, the
That's
objective,
something that we have also worked on. I may introduce Yvonne. I think that Yvonne has a specific point of view in terms of lean because she is more in the social aspect of the project, and she has been working with us also in that region, in the Pacific region, for many years. So she can tell us like how lean has been changing her in terms of mind. You.
Buenos días.
Buenos días.
Muchas gracias. Muchas gracias por esta invitación. Y aquí estoy pues a contarles un poquito nuestra experiencia o mi experiencia particular aplicando este método que ha sido de verdad muy importante porque me ha permitido potenciar los aportes de cada uno de los actores que están en el marco del proyecto para lograr el objetivo de los mismos.
So she thanks for the invitation to be here, and she says that it's really important what she was learned in terms of the project that she coordinates, because it enables her to have each of the actors of the project to be aligned in the same goal.
Bien, nos habían mandado como así un esquema de lo que les íbamos a contar, pero quisiera como resaltar 3 cosas en lo que me ha gustado de esta filosofía. Una era las que les contaba porque nos da esa posibilidad de mirar qué tiene el otro que a mí me sirva o qué me aporta ese otro para yo lograr algunas metas que a lo mejor veo que tengo que hacerlo todo yo, pero que todas las personas damos algo, todas las personas aportamos algo. Y sin ese aporte que esas personas no, me dan, yo no puedo lograr llegar acá a este punto en el que quiero, ¿sí? Entonces, esto me ha gustado mucho de esta filosofía porque realmente me ha permitido reconocer que todos damos algo, ¿sí? Todos nos articulamos y el conocimiento, como lo hablábamos con Alfredo al principio del curso, era yo sé una cosa, tú sabes otras, entonces nos intercambiamos para lograr lo que queremos.
I think that Alfredo can help me also in the translation, but here she's pointing out to specific concepts that are the basis of the lean house, no? That is the respect for the other and the consensus. Like everyone can share something that is important for the rest. So each one can give a little bit to be a better project or to have a consensus in the term in the way that we need to work on.
Yeah, she also said that she values that to solve problems or to push forward the project, there is an exchange of knowledge, and you have something to say. I have something to say. Together, we can build a better expression of the ideas and push forward the solutions in a how would you say this, in a teamwork manner.
And some that actually she said, and Alfredo really liked it when he started the tutorial in terms of lean, is the exchange of knowledge. Yvonne has been a really good leader and a woman leader in her region, in which she actually wants to rescue all the traditions and to dignify the people that actually has the knowledge. And when Alfredo was talking about she was saying is something that we do in our communities that is called the culture exchange, no, or the knowledge exchange, and that is something that of course Alfredo see the similarity in terms of the lean, and see that everyone can give something to the project or can give something to the problem, and we are learning for everyone in the project, the community, the actors, the shareholders, the NGO, everyone.
Yeah, in fact, I changed the workshop name, and I called it not I didn't call it lean anymore. I called it knowledge exchange. I think we lost Yvonne. She will get back.
Well, she will connect later, but we can start with Elias talking about the tools, because he's been a leader in terms of the other colleagues. he's teaching everyone in the team to use the Kanban board and to actually understand and see the importance of it. So maybe actually he can share the screen, or I can share the screen, maybe, to see one of the examples that we have done. Elías, de pronto puedes compartir la pantalla para mostrar uno de los ejemplos y aprovechas y cuentas qué te ha gustado de Kanban.
Sí, enseguida. Hola, ¿ahí ve mi pantalla?
Sí.
Yeah.
Bueno,
Trello.
la verdad que la primera vez que escuché hablar del término Kanban board, pues me parecía algo extraño. Yo decía, Alfredo, ¿qué me está hablando? Pero poco a poco fui entendiéndolo, y la verdad que es una herramienta muy estratégica para nosotros y más ahorita con lo de la cuarentena a nivel nacional. Eso nos permitió avanzar muchísimo en la ejecución de nuestros proyectos.
So I'm going to translate. He says that the first time that he heard about Kanban board, he says, no, this is really strange. Alfredo is going to talk about like other things or extreme that I don't know. But he says that this tool is very strategic right now in terms of the pandemic and how we need to work right now with the quarantine and look to work on the projects in a visual way and in a digital way.
Entonces, a partir que iniciamos a implementar esta herramienta en nuestros proyectos, iniciamos a tener una reunión, unas conversaciones de calidad porque nos enfocábamos directamente en los problemas importantes y sobre ellos buscamos las soluciones. Entonces, lo que me genera, digamos que lo más importante es que aquí en este tablero podemos ponerle responsable o responsable a cada tarea y mirar, digamos, esa persona, como se hace en el atletismo, lleva el testigo hasta un punto, y ahí quién debe arrancar con esa misma tarea para que finalmente esté cumplida.
So he says that now after he understood the tool, he started thinking that this is a quality work, no? Because in each activity you can see the responsible to do that activity and when we pass the activity to the next one, no? And see in the flow or in the visual way when it's done that activity and what in terms of a meeting what we can address, if it's urgent or not, if someone is being difficult to make the activity or some trouble in terms of the activity. And we work as a team in terms of a meeting. We can actually work in the activity that is causing us a lot of difficulties.
I would like to also highlight that he said after implementing the tool, he felt he was having better quality conversations in terms of the issues they were addressing. So they're having better conversations around the project issues.
How did that happen? What was the reason that with this tool the conversations changed? Can you elaborate on that?
Elías, dale.
Sí.
Que si puedes elaborar un poco más de por qué cambió la calidad de las conversaciones al usar esta herramienta.
Sí, cambió un poco más las conversaciones cuando iniciamos a elaborar esta herramienta o utilizar esta herramienta, cuando ponemos temas específicos a tratar en cada una de nuestras reuniones. Recuerdo que al principio de la emergencia, cuando iniciamos nuestras reuniones virtuales, era un tema y nos demorábamos 2, 3 horas debatiendo ese tema. Y a partir de que iniciamos a implementar esta herramienta, el mismo tema lo sacamos en 15, 20 minutos. Entonces, digamos, ya somos más precisos en lo que debemos trabajar y no nos demoramos mucho tiempo revisando un tema que a veces no tiene problemas que son muy importantes para resolver y gastamos tiempo en ellos.
Okay. So he said that before using the tool, they had meetings where they could talk about an issue of 2-3 hours, and they didn't visualize all the important topics. And now that they see them, they can prioritize, and they are spending like 15 or 20 minutes in each important topic, and they're not wasting time on things that perhaps are not so important.
Además, esta herramienta nos permite armar una narrativa del proceso que lleva o todo el proyecto o cada tema en específico. Y en cualquier parte que nos encontremos podemos entrar a nuestro tablero y poder mirar los avances que tiene cada tarea o cada tema que montamos en nuestro tablero. Entonces, para mí eso ha sido muy importante, implementar esta herramienta en la ejecución de nuestros proyectos, porque nos ha permitido ir conociendo los avances de cada uno de los miembros del grupo y saber, digamos, hasta qué parte lleva de avance de cada tarea.
And so he's highlighting two other aspects. One is that he feels that after using the tool, he has been able to create a narrative about the project. And so this could give like a
That's a Colombian signal issue, but as it looks of it, everybody else is frozen.
I was wondering if it was on my side, but I can't hear it.
I could see you and Bob moving, so that was mine.
Yeah.
Oh. Yvonne's still with us, aren't you? Yeah, and Diego's still with us.
And Diego is moving.
Yes, I learned the signal very bad in Huasca.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're waiting to come back. Do you know, again, it's going to be difficult to continue the conversation without translators right now, isn't it?
Yeah, let's wait for a moment.
Yeah. Some really crucial points I want to come back to on this, though. I mean, the guys have nailed some of the really key aspects about
I noticed some too.
Internal, external balance, holistic view, going straight into looking at each situation in its own right. I mean, crikey, and starting with mindset and the tools coming last. This is, this is the mistakes that we don't hear addressed in deployment programs ever, and these guys have hit it on the head from the start.
That's brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah.
And also the visual aspects that shortens. I mean, you can process so much more information visually than. Hi, Alfredo, we lost you.
Today, I feel our connection is really unstable. Sorry about that. I will say that besides the narrative,
it's still not very good, Alfredo.
Can you hear me there?
Not very good.
If we spoke robot, it'd be fine, Alfredo.
There?
It's very choppy sounding.
Let's see if we can remove the bandwidth, reduce the bandwidth a bit. Camilla.
Camilla, you're back. We got you. Of all the people that could drop out, it's the two translators. I think this is the law of Todd, we call it in the UK, I think.
We need to use body language or whatever, yeah.
Yeah. This is going to make for a riveting watch when people watch it back.
You may need to edit a little bit.
Yeah, maybe we can cut some dead time out.
Hi.
In the meantime, good to see Mohammed and Tiago joining us from Switzerland and Pakistan on the comments. Thanks, guys, for listening.
Yeah.
If you've got any questions, pop them in the question bit on the way through, and we'll try and bring them up towards the end. Once these guys have made their presentation and made their points, we'll come back to some of their key points with some questions, I'm sure.
Well, while we're waiting, I mean, I think one of the interesting things that we're learning is just the focus on what needs to be done today, as opposed to, you know, when you have a meeting with people and you're often talking about things that are further into the future, and you get involved in those conversations, and then what needs to be done today that does not end up happening. And so the focus on understanding what the problem is, what needs to be done today, exchanging the knowledge and ideas of the people about what needs to be done today, respecting them, and then doing what needs to be done today.
Yeah,
is fundamental. You know, we need to be really worried about today, maybe tomorrow, but you know, and handle our daily work activities like that in a clear fashion.
yeah, and Yvonne made another really important point when she was saying that, but without losing focus of the big picture, still understanding the importance of flow and to keep the whole thing moving, but with the focus on the detail. But
It was also and it was also in Elias's story where he says when we have all the information on the board, I have a story, a coherent story, and then we can pinpoint the topic that we now need to discuss.
Yeah.
And I think that's very important as well, and that important point that Elias made.
Yeah, and the visual representation of the work is
crucial.
So important, and to have it color coded, so the eye can pick this up easily of what's important, and you know, so on.
And looking at those four columns that he had, it was really the red, amber, green aspect, wasn't it? The bag system that was on the people's names that had responsibility for each of those actions driving that. So it is, I mean, the power of visual management, that simplicity of even putting the bag system on your action list, you know, it's just incredibly powerful, isn't it?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. And then the result is that they're able to, you know, get more work done, focus on the problems at hand, and make progress. I mean, ultimately, that's the objective here, is to make progress, and that's happening in terms of understanding the work in a different way and how to interact with people in a different way.
Yeah, definitely. I want to get a question across to the group and see how they respond, to say, would you find out, you know, would you be surprised to find that in the West it's more common to start with the tools and not talk about the mindset because they've done it that way around. Camilla, have we got you back now? You're on mute, I think, but I can see you moving.
Mm.
Can you hear us, Camilla? Oh, Alfredo's there as well.
Ah, they're together. Right, guys, you're on mute, I think. Can you press your microphone button? And brilliant. That's it, got you back. Super. We were saying, of all the people we could lose, it had to be the translator.
Es que ninguno de los tres hablamos inglés. Ahí te lo mandé.
Pero es muy técnico la...
No, tú solo traduce ahí la...
No, porque si hay muchas...
Mientras Camila se conecta, es que se quedaron... Sí. Dale ahí. Ya te lo mandé, no sé.
Super. We can hear you, guys. Camilla and Alfredo, can you? Are you going to keep your video off to try and save your bandwidth and just be voice?
Well, he's not in the stream now, so he can't hear us anyway.
No, he dropped again.
Yeah,
They're
he
really
dropped.
having trouble, aren't they?
So maybe this is a good opportunity for either us to practice some Spanish or for you to practice some English. My Spanish is very limited. Yvonne,
So,
Elias, Diego, can you understand a little bit when we speak English?
Hablo inglés un poco. Elias, Diego, Ivonne.
A little, very, very little.
¿Y qué más, David?
Only words.
Only word.
hola, mi esposo habla inglés y va a ayudarnos con la traducción. Salud.
No.
Estamos. ¿Listo? Dale.
So here we have an interesting question from Mohammed. I think learning from this example can be used in other implementations too. What do you think? Well, I think we think.
Well, he goes on to say, why do people in the West not work on
Yes, hello, my name is Mats. Now connected via the connection used by Yvonne.
Hi, Matt. Fantastic. Brilliant. Thanks for coming to our rescue. we have two translators on the call and we lost both of them. So, and the English and Spanish in both directions is really poor. So you're a godsend today.
No escuchamos nada.
Hi. Can you hear us?
You're like London buses. They have no translators and then 3 translators come at once.
So sorry. We had to call the internet provider and
No, pero no escuchamos.
Aquí no escucho.
can you hear us?
Yes.
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, it's a lot. So I don't know what did you guys talk about?
Well,
we made some really. We were really impressed with the observations that have been made already. We were talking about the fact that the first slide you come up with was mindset, and then that went on to tools being last. And I wanted you guys to present the question to the rest of your team for us to say, really, would you be surprised to find that in the West we inevitably start with tools and rarely talk about mindset? How would they feel if they heard that?
So say it again, please.
Okay, so we've got this question from Mohammed, and it's very similar to what I'm asking as well, that you might be able to see on the screen. We in the West we often start with the tools and very rarely talk about mindset. And what Camilla explained was you start with mindset and talk about culture, and then eventually end up at the tools. But how would the team feel? Would they be surprised to hear that, and would it be a shock? And could they see it working?
Una pregunta para Elías, bueno, Diego se fue. No, Diego está ahí. Elías, Diego, Ivonne. A ellos les sorprende y está en la pantalla una pregunta de Mohamed Ali Tusi, también, que dice que por qué en Occidente somos tan aficionados a empezar por las herramientas y no pensar en la forma de pensar justamente, mientras que con ustedes hemos trabajado al revés. Iniciamos por analizar un poco la forma de pensar y muy al final empezamos a trabajar en el uso de las herramientas. ¿Qué opinan de eso?
Bueno, yo diría que, como lo he manifestado y es un poco la filosofía que practico en el trabajo, primero tenemos que ver como la capacidad que tienen las personas de aportar a lo que estamos haciendo. Es pensar, es como un Ubuntu que mucho usan en África, soy porque somos, y el tema de que nosotros primero utilicemos acá el pensamiento y luego agreguemos las herramientas, creo que cuando ya las estrategias que tenemos sin herramientas no nos funcionan, entonces accedemos a las que tenemos ahí, pero acá, por lo menos en el caso mío, es porque creemos primero en lo que la gente pueda dar, en las capacidades propias que tenga la gente sin agregarle otro tipo de estrategias. Y ya luego, pues ya aunarlas con las demás, así creo que nos ha funcionado acá.
So she says that for her, what the people think is the better tool, no? Is the first tool that we have to address. So she says, like the Africans, as we are, as I am, we are, no? So it's a reflection of a whole community. So it's really important to be able to know, to get the knowledge, to get all that exchange of values and things before any tool.
Fantastic. And what about the other guys? Are they in a similar opinion?
So, Diego y Elías, ¿opinan lo mismo o qué creen ustedes de este tema?
Yo pienso que pues es muy importante primero estructurar el pensamiento, ¿no? Porque en el caso del pensamiento Lean es un pensamiento que te invita primero a abrir la mente, a tener una más holística y no parte por parte de un sistema, y también a buscar las causas raíces. Entonces, si tú logras entender las causas raíces de un problema, pues la herramienta que decidas utilizar va a cumplir realmente su función. Mientras que si tú utilizas primero una herramienta sin entender causas raíces y sin tener una visión holística, pues puedes terminar usando un martillo para cortar un tronco.
So he says that Lean also opened the mind, no, in a holistic way, in a broad way. So if you have that structure in mind, you can actually address the tool in a better way. So he gave an example in terms of that you can use a hammer to cut a tree. No, if you don't understand the structure of what you need to do. So he thinks that it's better to start with that concepts and to start with that structure in terms of be able to have an open mind in terms of solve problem, and then address a tool that is actually visualize the problem itself, no?
Okay. And I guess,
Elias, do you have something? Elias, ¿tienes
say,
algo más que añadir en esta pregunta?
Sí, es importante primero determinar, como lo decía mi compañero anteriormente, determinar lo que queremos hacer y cuál es la finalidad. A partir de pensar y saber lo que vamos a hacer, podemos escoger la herramienta que nos va a permitir solucionar nuestro inconveniente y finalmente llegar al objetivo que queremos.
Yeah, he's saying that he refers, as well as Diego was telling us, about the Ishikawa, the 5 whys to actually address a problem, no? So Elias is also talking about that if we know the problem, we can see the tool that is better to address that problem, no? And the example that Diego was giving us is the 5 whys, no? The Ishikawa, or the root case analysis.
Brilliant. And if you can humor me for one more little part of that question, Elias mentioned that he wasn't originally open to the application of the Kanban board, but now he sees it as strategically important. What is the change that he is experiencing himself to go from resistance to embracing the new approach?
Elías dice, pregunta David, que al principio estabas, digamos, sorprendido, no sé, quizá si reacio o no, a la herramienta Kanban Board, y qué te hizo después cambiar de opinión y conectar con ella.
Compañero, cuando yo inicio a manejar la herramienta o a entenderla, cómo funciona, inicio a sentir que organizo mejor mi tiempo y soy más eficiente en mi trabajo. Tengo más espacio para dedicarme a actividades específicas y no distraerme en otras actividades que no me llevan a resolver o alcanzar el objetivo para cada una de mis actividades que tengo planificadas. Entonces, en mi Kanban board, yo pongo mis actividades que voy a hacer durante el mes, y semana a semana voy seleccionando las que voy a ir realizando y voy mostrando mi avance de que llevo de cada actividad. Entonces, esto de verdad que cuando a los 2 meses que ya venía yo trabajando con la actividad, hice mi evaluación, dije, wow, me sirvió demasiado esta herramienta, y ahora soy más eficiente y tengo más tiempo para mí.
So he said he at first he just was not familiar, did not understand, but then he started using it, and he felt that he could have a better use of his time. His work was more efficient, and after 2 months of using it, he just went, "Wow, I did all this."
Excellent.
And
Excellent.
he actually is working to be a Kanban board, the product each month to show the progress in the project. So it's like the support of his activities during the month, and he can see every week the progress in it. So he feels that he is getting to the goal.
So to play that back, then I guess what we're saying in a roundabout way is when people can connect to the benefit, when they can understand how it helps them, then they can embrace the new thing. And until then, there can be skepticism. And
Yes.
I guess this
also important to just give it a try.
Yeah, learn by doing.
Yeah, give it a go.
Yeah,
that's something that actually he's teaching everyone in the team. Like as I was telling, we have more people on field, and he's teaching to each team the Kanban tool. So he's been leading that part in our area.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Yeah, and so people can be more productive and feel like they are not wasting their time or their life.
Yeah.
They're able to
Definitely
get things done.
In terms of the coordination that I do in each project, it's easy to see in a Kanban what is the difficulties or what is the progress on each activity, and as he said, just have 20 or 30 minutes meeting and not 2 or 3 hours meeting. So we can address the problem in a better way and in an easy way, ¿no?
Están comentando que para ellos es interesante observar que cuando entienden el beneficio de una herramienta o de un método o de una filosofía, entonces es ahí cuando es más fácil de adoptar, por un lado, y por el otro que entienden que para ustedes este ejercicio les ha permitido no desperdiciar tiempo, inclusive no desperdiciar su propia vida en actividades que no agregan valor o no merecen.
Y lo otro es que aprender haciendo es lo que precisamente nos da como ese poder, ¿no? Y entonces ahí hablábamos de lo que Elías ha enseñado al resto de los colegas y que de alguna manera ha liderado ese tema.
Diego, una pregunta que me gustaría hacer, pues es una especulación mía. Yo he visto varios de tus webinars y me da la sensación, no sé si es pensar con el deseo mío, pero me da la sensación que en tus webinars has ido también incorporando algunos ingredientes de esto.
Totalmente. Por ejemplo, uno de los ingredientes favoritos del pensamiento Lean para mí es el hecho de empezar a hacer tareas, o sea, de empezar a pensar qué podría dejar de hacer, que estoy haciendo y es al pedo, ¿no? Entonces, en la agricultura se aplica mucho más en la agricultura que nosotros estamos teniendo, porque normalmente el agricultor suele llenarse de tareas y querer hacer y fertilizar y abonar y aplicar productos y intervenir demasiado en la naturaleza, pero nuestro enfoque va más hacia pensar en qué de todo eso que estoy haciendo no debería estar haciendo porque no le estoy dando valor al proceso. Y aplicándolo como que me ha ido también ayudando a relajar más mi labor como agricultor y como técnico.
So Alfredo was asking Diego, because Diego has been doing some webinars for the team in terms of the NGO, but also external. And he was asking that if some of these concepts has also working for him to webinars. And Diego says that one specific concept that he likes in terms of agriculture, in terms of the field work, is the reflection part, no? Like, we cannot put many activities in a field without thinking if we are doing well or not, no? That many peasants or many agriculture just work to give a lot in terms of getting the productivity that they need, but they don't stop to think if the balance of the nature is okay or not. So that's something that Diego like in terms of the concept, no?
Yeah, and he also mentioned that now he's beginning to think and to suggest others to think about it too. Is let's stop for a moment. Let's see what we should not do. Not only what we should do, but let's see what we should not, we should stop doing, and try to organize better their life and their work, because he says that people in agricultural activities are very bound to do a lot of stuff, but in a disorganized manner. So this has influenced his messages for others.
That's great. That's great. I was told a long time ago, when I was doing lean training 25 years ago, that it's really easy. You don't have to understand much. You just have to understand what works, what doesn't work, and you do more of the first and less of the last.
That's true.
That is true. Está comentando tu comentario, Diego, de que hace muchos años aprendió que le enseña en su experiencia Lean, que uno establece qué trabajo funciona y qué no funciona, pero le dedica más tiempo a lo último.
Similar, Diego. Muy bien.
Ivonne, me gustaría que nos comentes tú cuál es la percepción que tienes referente a la similitud que encontraste entre este pensamiento tan aparentemente... se nos fue. We lost Ivonne. We're having a lot of trouble here in Colombia today.
Well, in Huasca is a lot of clouds today.
It's very rainy, very cloudy today, yeah.
All right. Maybe we can...
I don't know, you guys would like to ask another question?
Yeah, we are almost at the end of the first hour, right? And Bob has to quit in a few minutes. There's one question on my mind that I would like to ask. And
Hola.
Hola.
Ay, lo siento, mi internet se está cayendo muchísimo. Te escuché, Alfredo, no te terminé de escuchar la pregunta.
No, te preguntaba ¿cuál es tu pensamiento sobre algo que era tan aparentemente distante como el pensamiento Lean, que es de origen japonés, y que tú encontraste grandes similitudes con lo que haces y vives y piensas en tu propia comunidad?
Bueno, yo relaciono este pensamiento con el intercambio de saberes, y es lo que decía al principio. Todos tenemos que aportar, todos tenemos que dar. Yo sé unas cosas, Elías sabe otra, y entre lo que Elías sabe y entre lo que yo sé, eso nos va a permitir lograr lo que queremos.
I was asking her about, because for me it was very, very, let's not say shocking, but very, very interesting to learn that this Lean philosophy, which is very, it's originary from Japan. And I was talking to these guys in a community in Chocó in Colombia, so far away from Japan. And the first thing she said was, look, this is very similar to what we do here. So she was basically saying, look, this is, we work together, you share your knowledge, I share my knowledge, we work together to solve problems, and let's go further on.
Let's
funny, move ahead.
You know what, you say that, when Yvonne was speaking before, I wrote down a note for myself about the theory of bar, like Gemba, but bar is a Japanese principle philosophy that's much bigger than Gemba, and it's about the creation of a social and physical space where people's knowledge can complement each other and grow and expand. So it's, and I was hearing from Yvonne when she was talking that this is the same concept. But again, in the West, we don't talk so much about concepts, about people, and about how, from a sense of community and respect, we can work together to try and achieve something. We do it much more from a project management imposed, financially driven perspective. So, Bob, I'm conscious of the time that you've got 5 minutes. Do you want to get anything in before you have to shoot off, mate?
Well, I'm just I wanted to try to answer one of Mohammed Al-Tusi's question here, which I think is an important one, because he's saying basically in the industrialized West, we don't work on the mindset first, and we should, because that is the first, as Camilla said, that's the first tool to work on. But I think in the industrialized West, there's basically just a belief that it is impossible to have the wrong mindset to begin with.
Yeah, that's the mindset. The mindset.
Yeah, the mindset is perfect. It's as good as it is. There's no need to challenge it, to think differently, to develop a new mindset, or to hone the mindset tool. So instead, they just move on to tools, and you can see that where there is the mindset is in pretty different condition or good shape, that it makes a big difference.
Mm.
I would like to say something about that, Bob, that I guess that's the reason that we understood the mindset first. And it's the way that we see our lives, no? We work in a project, we don't work to get a positive, no? Or to get a whole consumption in terms of industrialized world. So I guess that those concepts in mind, in which we want the balance in terms of economic, environmental, and social aspect in our lives, it's something that I guess for us was easier, no? And it's in our heart to work with, no?
Yeah.
And so in the Western world, in which you are just measured by numbers, or measured by
yeah.
Profit.
Wrong
profit. Yes.
measures. Yeah, wrong measures.
That those values are not as important as for us.
Yeah.
No. I'd like to summarize what you two guys have just said there by saying, if we're only measuring what we should do in the economic channel, and we're not even asking about the environmental or social, let alone what we shouldn't do in those channels, then it was bound to be getting it wrong somewhere, aren't we? Sorry, Bob.
I have to run along. I'm sorry, but I really enjoyed this conversation, and I applaud the good work that's being done there, and just keep going. That's the
Thank you.
main thing. Just keep going. Okay.
Thanks for joining, Bob.
Bye.
Cheers, mate. Speak soon.
All right.
David, we missed you. We didn't hear you very well.
Sorry, I was saying it's no doubt really that, and to pick up on Camilla's point, that in the West we're very much more driven from a single channel perspective, in business in particular, which is the economic. It's the numbers, it's the bottom line, it's the P&L, it's the return on capital employed, it's the earnings before tax and interest. These are the conversations we have with leadership teams. And as manufacturing industrial organizations, we don't tend to look at the other two channels that you guys as an NGO look at naturally, which is the social and environmental. And I think, to pick up on the comment that was made, I can't think if it was Elias or Diogo, somebody said, we don't ask what we shouldn't do. We only ask, we do ask what we shouldn't do, what we should stop doing. And I think if you like, I love the way that we can reverse questions instead of asking what we should do, what we should stop doing. And in the West, even if we went that next step, we would only ask what should we stop doing in terms of the numbers. We don't ask what should we stop doing in terms of the numbers and how they associate to society and how they associate to environment, and challenge ourselves to have a more holistic view. And as we heard right at the beginning of the conversation, you start with that holistic view, and then you can understand why the details fit. And if you don't, then you end up with what we call in the West kamikaze kaizen for the last 30 years, because we do the wrong things faster. So I'm loving what I'm hearing from you guys. It's fantastic. It confirms 30 years of experience.
Right. I think that they also have to disconnect in a few minutes. So I'd like to wrap it up and ask them, and Camila maybe will translate for them. Even if they have these three dimensions in their heart, like economic, social, environmental, and this has made it easier for them, does working this way improve or not the economic aspect? Because why should we do it if it doesn't?
Estábamos discutiendo el tema de que para nosotros el hecho de trabajar en proyectos sociales o en proyectos de los que nos dedicamos, obviamente tenemos los tres aspectos muy arraigados y muy en el corazón, ¿no? El tema social, ambiental y económico, pero Alfredo pregunta que si independientemente de eso hay mejores resultados a nivel económico o no, y pues si deberíamos hacerlo por eso o no, ¿no?
Mejor dicho, esta metodología, si bien a ustedes les ha resonado, la pregunta es, ¿en realidad les ha servido para entregar mejores resultados, por lo menos desde el punto de vista económico del proyecto, llamémoslo así?
Sí, esto, como lo dije al principio, nos ha servido para avanzar gigantescamente. Nosotros, por ejemplo, en Achote, tenemos nuestro Canva y tenemos todas las actividades que se deben de hacer y le ponemos un tiempo, y eso tenemos que corretear esa tarea hasta que la terminemos en ese tiempo. Entonces, eso permite que dentro de la ejecución podamos lograr los objetivos en los tiempos que nos planteamos dentro de la formulación del proyecto, y eso nos hace llegar a la etapa a la que queremos todos. Entonces, digamos que en ese marco de eficiencia permite que el proyecto vaya en el curso ideal.
¿Puedo entrar o vas a traducir primero antes que se me caiga esto otra vez?
Dale, bueno, coméntalo.
Qué pena de verdad con usted. Yo creo que sí, que a nivel económico también ayuda mucho. Por ejemplo, en el caso nuestro, que es un trabajo con comunidades y es mucho más arraigado, lo que me ha permitido es hacerle ver a la gente cuáles son sus responsabilidades individuales y las responsabilidades colectivas que tenemos para que el proyecto avance, identificando también los tiempos y las actividades que hay que hacer. ¿Esto qué va a permitir? Que si hacemos las cosas realmente en el tiempo que nos proponemos, no vamos a tener que hacer extensión de proyecto que genere tal vez un gasto un poco más, tanto en tiempo como en recursos económicos. Así que yo creo que ha sido muy efectivo en aras de priorizar esas actividades, esas responsabilidades, y no desgastarnos ni en tiempo ni en recursos más allá del proyecto, que normalmente siempre pasa, termina un proyecto y no se alcanzaron los logros por X o Y cosa, no se priorizan actividades, y esto lo que hace es extender el tiempo y los recursos económicos que se pueden utilizar para otra cosa en el proyecto.
Buen punto ese.
So both actually says that the time management is the issue there in terms of economic, no? If we spend more time in the activities that we actually need to address and to get the results for the projects, we are going to spend more money, no? So we actually cannot see a profit in terms of EBITDA or whatever, but we can see a better, efficient way of using the resources that we have at the moment, because we can actually get the results done. And
let me compliment you. And also, because resources are scarce, she said that it is important to use them wisely and not let's say waste money in inefficient projects, while they could use that money for new projects. So in terms of economics, it's very important that the project is executed in an efficient manner.
And yes, she was also addressing that in terms of the time management, you need to address for in an individual way and in the collective way, and that's something that is very important in our projects, that the collective or the community thinking is what we need to address in a better way, no? We do projects not for individuals, we do projects for communities to transform the way of doing things in communities, in whole communities. So if we don't think it in a community or collective way, we are not addressing the project.
Diego, ibas a mencionar algo.
I think that's very important, because if you ask for economics, right, what came to my mind is that the economic way of thinking created a lot of destruction. And one of the things that Toyota is teaching is, you already spoke about respect for people, which is one pillar in the Toyota house, right? The other one is, we know it as in the West as continuous improvement, but in Japanese it has a different name. It's called continuous improvement with wisdom. And I think the wisdom brings in the community. If it's not wise for the community, just the focus on economics will hurt.
That's
so I think your focus on doing the right thing for all, and exchanging the knowledge and getting everyone's perspective. What is the right thing to do? If you get that one clear first, then everything else becomes a lot easier, and it becomes way more beneficial for all. So I think the approach you're taking is absolutely critical for long-lasting success.
Ya, está diciendo Emiel que sobre lo que comentaron, que le llama la atención, primero, pues, que hayamos destacado dos pilares esenciales de la filosofía Lean. Uno, el respeto por la gente, de lo cual ya hablamos, y el otro, mejora continua o Kaizen, que en realidad en Japón tiene un significado más amplio, que es mejora continua siempre y cuando sea con sabiduría. Y le llama la atención cómo las comunidades primero adoptan los proyectos siempre y cuando tengan sentido y haya sabiduría en ellos, y a partir de ahí, digamos, que adquieren valor esas herramientas de mejora continua. Diego, ¿ibas a comentar algo y cerrar? Do you guys want to have a final ask so we can wrap it up? And meanwhile, Diego will tell us something. Diego, dale.
No, pues iba muy alineado con lo que dijo Elías e Ivonne. Yo creo que el hecho también de asumir lo que nos invita la filosofía Lean, de llamar las cosas por su nombre y no querer maquillar de pronto los errores que estamos cometiendo, nos ayudó a identificar mudas que estaban generando retrasos en nuestros procesos. Y, por ejemplo, el caso de habernos dado cuenta que el pensamiento agroecológico no estaba llegando a las comunidades porque pues nosotros como equipo técnico no lo teníamos tampoco interiorizado. Entonces esto nos lleva a que decimos, no, pues tenemos primero como equipo técnico que sentarnos y empezar a hablar sobre el pensamiento agroecológico para todos llevar un mensaje unificado a la comunidad, ¿no? Básicamente era eso. Las mudas.
That's a nice one, I think. He said that during the initial steps of the intervention we did, he was surprised and he liked it a lot that he was able to catalog problems as they truly were and no makeup on them, and that allowed him to understand and view his process in a whole new way. And he was speaking about muda, all the muda he was ignoring in his own process. He learned that his message to the communities was not being efficient because his team and him were not clear in their own message. So they had to clear it up first for them, and then they could replicate it to the communities in an efficient way. So he had to just have some steps back and reformulate his messages and learn how to convey those messages. And now he thinks he's being more efficient.
I would like to tell like a specific in that sense we have a specific solution, and since we start with Alfredo, we did the A3 for that problem. For the technicians on field that they didn't understand the agroecological criteria that to address. And right now, to solve that problem, Diego started a school for the technicians, and we have starting the first session 1 week ago, and it's 6 modules in which we want to graduate in agroecological criteria the technicians. So we need to have the same back.
Still again. That was pretty good for a long time there, wasn't it? Yeah. No, but again, crikey, doesn't it just sum it up? I mean, the language we've been using in the mill just recently is about having the same language and developing language, isn't it? Because even from a lean perspective to a manufacturing perspective, sometimes we can run into language barriers, let alone between English and Spanish. But just, if they're talking to people about agronomy and the criteria that they've got to improve from an agricultural perspective, and the guys in the field don't know the language of agronomy, then how can they comprehend what they're supposed to be improving? And so the result for Diego to educate, to build a school, to educate, to give the right language so that they can comprehend. I mean, this is really root cause stuff. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's not just the language; it's also conveying or getting a clear image of the objective or the dream that you want to pursue.
Yeah, that vision.
Get clarity on the story.
We are back.
Yeah,
you're back.
Hi, no, we were just marveling the wisdom that is coming from the comments from Diego and the others to hit all of the key big issues that we've spent all of our experience and lives in the lean environment in the West, and coming to realise are the big barriers. So it's great input, really good input.
All right, Elias is back. Camila, can you hear us?
Están sin conexión.
Yeah, it's challenging.
It is.
All right, it's not coming back, is it?
No, it's not. So should we wrap it up on their behalf?
Yeah, I think so.
I think, Diego, Elias, Yvonne, encantado. Muy bien. Gracias. Muchas gracias. Es all my Spanish. Because of
Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias.
Gracias.
Muy chévere.
Ustedes.
I think you're approaching it with a lot of wisdom, and keep it that way. I mean, that's very important.
Yeah.
It's nice to meet you.
And you, brilliant, great work. Muy bien trabajando, whatever, you know what I mean. Great work. Really.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Thank you for joining and thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Elias, thank you. Diego, thank you. Yvonne.
Thank you. Bye.